I don't talk to them directly during the game verbally, but I'll chat with them there. All right, Twitch should just start. Yep, and Facebook. Aha, J-Crew's own it. Almost ready here. We are live on all three now. All right. All right. So I'm gonna jump into the recap here, and then if you guys want to add anything, you're welcome to. Long story short. Oh, yeah, actually, we should probably do introductions first before the recap, shouldn't we? Gosh, I'm so correct. It's J. Crew, Bamboozled Eludria, Cowboy is the order. So yeah, let's start with some introductions. I know it's a new setup and a new order. So, hello, I'm Gats. I'm the GM for Band of the Ancients D&D. And who am I playing with tonight? Bamboozle, it's okay. You got a second. I'll... Awesome. Hawk v Cat. Who will win? So I'll jump into the recap a bit here. Wow, I just grabbed my old mouse, which isn't plugged in. That was very confusing. Get out of here. All right, so yeah, after repeated danger and obstacles on the road, the party ventured forth through the wooded hills nearby the town they'd left. And along, blah, blah, blah. Let me start that again. The party ventured through the wooded hills on the road heading east through forested mountains and woods towards Makoma. With Milvani's pathfinding and Taka scouting, they were able to arrive in Makoma. The party still encountered some danger along the way, such as a savage quilled bear that disemboweled Cleovad, but they were able to avoid the worst of it, such as a large troll ambush and patrols at the halfway point between Takasu and Makoma. So, having passed through Makoma city gates and being briskly led through the winding stone walkways in various districts, and along the way noticing a mix of responses and attention from the inhabitants, as well as the fact that there were no nighttime lamps anywhere in the city, the party found themselves outside the walls of the Froscar Manor, the gates of which but a couple 100 feet ahead. And currently, Winter nowhere to be seen. Just a moment ago, Winter and the party was greeted by seemingly some sort of wizard who opened a sort of two-dimensional portal into a large oval in front of them, stepped through, and sternly and semi-calmly beckoned Winter to join him to go talk to his father 1v1 now. Winter said, "Yes, yeah, I will, but can my buddies have like 8 or 10 guards to watch their back? I need to make sure these guys don't die. They're in danger." Reluctantly, the wizard gave the okay to the guard to go summon some help, and then very, very directly drug Winter through the gateway as it closed. Anything anyone would like to add before we pick up where we left off? Yeah, so essentially, you're in the Noble District. To the left, over the wall, you can see the Froscar Manor. But there is a stone wall with some plants and such, some vines growing on it around. And about 150 to 200 feet ahead of you, following that wall along on your left side, you can see the actual gates to the manor grounds. And Ludri is gone. I think he's going to be booted repeatedly this session. Yep. I think it's something with NAT issues. Wait, I really need to actually look at that. Anyways, so yeah, to describe where the party's at, wall to your left, because you were walking along it. Also, over that wall is the manor and the grounds. About 150, 200 feet ahead are the gates, with some guards posted at the gates. Sure thing. So, what you can tell, obviously, just peeking over the wall, or just kind of seeing it as you're walking along the wall, it is a very large-sized manor, at least 4 stories high, made of stone on the exterior, tan-colored. You can tell there's many windows. It has a sloped roof, and the front of it being kind of a large, almost rectangular shape, but you can tell there's a nice entryway. You can't see from where you're at how it really looks in the back. But you can assume that there is some things back there, maybe some offshoots, stuff like that. Is there any specific details you wanted, Winter? Yeah, so imagine a nice stone manor, 4 stories obviously, shingled roof, well-kept grounds, though of course there are some vines they let grow around for decoration. And as they get closer, or if they get closer, they'll see there's a nice walkway coming up as well. Correct. That is where you guys left off as the wizard had stopped the party. And since Winter is eating, let's do what the party is doing first, and then we will come to Winter. So that is fine. I'd plan to jump straight to you, but let's focus on everyone else. So you're good. So yes, standing, and I had awesome backdrops, but you guys can just use your imaginations. Standing together, we have Awarthon, the high elf Snooty Pants. Let's see. Is this how we do it? Yes, we've got Snooty High Elf Awarthon, standing impatiently and worried. We have Jupiter Tarragon, the grave cleric Furbolg. Melvane, the wood elf ranger, and her loyal wolf Elma. And Taka with new fan art, which doesn't show up on the stream well at all, which we'll do a better demonstration of later. But it shows up for the players of kind of the death mark, and that was courtesy of, let's see, was it the Rose something? Let me get to it here. Character D&D art. The Raven Post. So thank you, Raven Post, for that awesome art of Taka. Next session, we hope to have that edited to actually be in-game and show a proper display of it. It will be awesome, and it looks really cool. But at least we can show, if I do that again, that pendant. Yeah, in the middle you can see the pendant that Taka wears proudly on his breast, given to him by his love, the dove. And of course, no one can forget Cleovad. No! Cleovad was taken away on a stretcher by clerics and guards to be tended and mended. And we do not know how he was doing, though last you saw as you entered the city, he was breathing. Raspy, breathing. Yeah, life goals, breathing. Shallow, raspy breaths. He was disemboweled, as we mentioned in the recap. And so they're the guards have all gone, but you can see that where we left off, that one guard that was with you guys went over to the two. One of them went inside the house while he took their place. You can assume that possibly some guards are going to be on their way out to protect you. Awarthans pipes up. I've been in many cities and towns, and it really depends on what sort of deity that they pray to with the clerics. I've never been in here before. I don't really know. Yakasame, you've been around a lot. What do you think? And to anybody who cares to look at Yakasame, she has a very vacant look on her face right now. Like, not hearing, not comprehending, just vacant. Okay. I guess she's busy. Has Taka Milvane, have you ever been in this city before? And Taka, you had not. You've not been in this one, but roll me a history check, just for curiosity here. And then I'll have some questions for you based on how that goes. That's better than average. Yeah. And as a reminder, you rolled an 11. And as a reminder, oh wait, are you using I can't remember how you have it set up, but you can, if you have Roll20 up, you can minimize your sheet by double clicking the top of your character sheet. And you can access it really quickly. Are you muted? No. Go for it. Go for it. So an 11 history. So Taka, given your upbringing, how familiar would you be of kind of the history of your race in the Northern Hills? Would anybody even talk about stuff that maybe happened 100 years ago or even longer ago, as far as your people helping out with humans up in the north? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm gonna do a dove luck check for you just to kind of have fun with this. The dove love check. I'm gonna have you roll me just a would you call this your religion? Dove? Because it sounds like it. You've been talking that dogma, that dovema. You've been talking that dovema. Yeah, roll me a religion check. And if you match an 11, you're going to get something good. And if you beat it, then you'll get something. Okay. She had mentioned in some of the stories that in the, with your people, they are often a very battle prowess race. And there have been great wars where they were the literal deciding factor for a war. Some of which, especially up in the northern regions and the mountainous regions, which you just happen to be in a northern mountain region. So maybe here. Yep. So, yes. Yeah, let me. To me or to J. Crew? So, roll me either religion to just focus on what deities you know are around here. And then I'm going to get back to Taka in a second, too. Um, if you want to know just like history wise what has kind of gone on around the region, you can. You'll get different stuff depending on which role you choose, but don't do both. Religion. I mean, if you go a little farther north to where it turns white, your lady's there for sure. And you do know that it's mid to late summer at this point, so in the cold season, that cold's probably going to trickle down here. I'm assuming that's what you were mainly curious about. With a 9, I will give you that. Plus, humans have other deities, other guys have other deities, but if you were looking for is Arl anywhere nearby, her cold grass does linger in this area. But yeah, for Taka, let's see, I mentioned that. And then does anybody want a refresher on the map and approximately where you guys are right now, besides J. Crew? Okay. So, J. Crew, what I'm going to have you do, go to the world building tab, or the world building channel in, oh god, can I just, well, I'm going to try and just put this map in the freaking game and see what happens. I'm going to do this real quick. I haven't finished the map yet, but let's, yeah. Oh my god, this computer's so fast. Okay, while this is loading, to give you context of how much faster this computer is, my last one, I have this really high speed thumb drive. It's not as fast as this thing is just generally, but it holds 258 megs or gigabytes. I put a bunch of files and videos on it from my old computer. It took 7+ hours to get onto the drive. Guess how quickly it downloaded from that drive onto this computer? 17 minutes. 17 minutes. It was 220 gigs from a thumb drive. But 17 minutes is just like, holy shit. You know, if it wasn't a thumb drive... Oh my god, I put that on the token layer. Get out. Actually, oh dang it. Control Z, Control Z. What I could do is actually put this on the token layer to show people so it'll show up better. I'm going to do that. And so let me do that. I wanted to make it a little bigger for people. Get out of here, Mel. Go back where you was. Okay. So, on this map, this is the whole region that you guys are in. I'm going to zoom it in, but you guys are essentially right here on the map, which is where Makoma is. Oh my god. It is, yes. That is the capital, quite far away. And to give you an idea, this is about the size of Europe. So, this is a pretty big map. Yeah. No. Hopefully the mountains aren't to scale either, because that would be insane. Nope. So I'm getting rid of that. Yep. So now that I have my new computer, I can resume work on the map. All right. And so just so the only thing you missed, Winter, is Taka had heard vague stories that his people had sometimes been basically turn the tides of a battle, been essential for such things, and some of that stuff happened in the northern mountains and mountainous regions, especially where flying creatures are super helpful, though he doesn't know if that was necessarily in this town or in this area. Okay. I will. I was, and then I got all sidetracked. Basically, Taka's takeaway when you're here and they're asking, "Does anybody know about this town?" The idea maybe this is one of those areas that there was wars and my people fought. We are up in some hills, and it's kind of cold. That's about it. But besides that, you all were trying to decide what to do, and while you're talking, you do see one guard come out, then another guard come out, and that will be gradually happening as you continue talking here. Okay, so you have a couple moments before he gets there. Anything else you guys like to say before he does? And Winter, you'd asked for 10 guards, right? They get 8, but, you know. Anybody came out. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, you guys were talking about perusing the town, and the first guard ahead of the others does approach. And Jupiter, you said you wanted to address them before anyone else? Yeah, as they're approaching you. It's a man. Sure. Let's see what this guy knows. Average. Oh god, now you're making me look stiff up. No. I am going to cliff notes it a bit, instead of pulling up all of their names, just because it will take me a minute. Um, and roll me a charisma just to see how open he's going to be towards you with what he knows. Not terrible. So he does, he comes up and he wasn't really expecting that kind of a question. It looks at you kind of like, a little incredulity in his face. And, there's the ones you would expect, and I guess a few unique to the region. And he lists the name of the deity from the capital, which I don't remember off the top of my head, but some celestial powerhouse. He mentions the dwarves and gnomes and elves of the region worship their typical ones, Moradin. I can't remember the other couple ones off the top of my head, but they're essential race-focused deities who get powers from that. Ludra, do you remember those names off the top of your head? Or Corellian, thank you. I don't remember that's the elven one. There's another part of his name, I don't remember the second half of it, but... Whew! Whew! Oh, the Shire. You guys, the racial layers just now? Those were gnomes, but you just halflinged them. The non-bearded little folks, the bird people don't care. They're all children to them, apparently. Anyways, you have followers of your typical Forgotten Realms pantheon, essentially. But in addition to that, and he does mention Auril, there are some who worship the suffering Winter Mother of Auril and try to appease her, especially before the winter months. There is another group here that is unique. There's a religious group they keep to themselves. They've been here since before the town was refounded. And kind of meet in secret, do rituals in secret, though you see them wander off to the north every so often. They never cause any problems, nor do they really propagate their own dogma. And when he talks about the north, he does gesture that way. And do you look at all in the direction he points? Or are you just staring at him? I don't know right now. You would be looking past the manor at this point. He's gesturing. I'll just say, anybody who looks, he's gesturing towards the north from where you're standing. And as you can see, as the hills kind of rise that way, there is a larger looming hill. Now, Jupiter and Taka, if you happen to glance that way, just let me know. If you don't, let me know. Okay. And Taka, would you pay attention at all to what this guy's pointing at? Yeah, if you look, you're going to see it. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So you have the general around. Essentially, this is not your immediate surroundings. This is something off in the distance. But with your guys' passive perceptions, it's going to be obvious if you even look that way and up, is what I'm trying to say. I'm just going to give it to both of you. I was just like, just look that way. It was something I missed last session because I was distracted. And you would have honestly noticed as you came into town anyways. There is a larger hill up in the north, almost due north of town. And at the top of that large hill, at what appears to be the highest point you can see, there's hundreds of feet across, billowing fog coming up, going hundreds of feet up into the air. And it's a pretty clear day. Oh yeah. Remember what do you remember about those visions, Jupiter? Yeah. Anything you want to recap for the at least audience's sake, or for MetaWise's sake? What did? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what did the little figure thing and the thing that you interacted with look like? Do you recall? What does it look like? Uh huh. And any other details? Mm-hmm. Yep. Cool. So, you guys both notice the fog. Jupiter has a oh shit moment. Taka, that's really weird fog. Yeah. The guard looks concerned. Why? That's strange. He's just like, what the fuck? Um, you know, it is. You said you've had visions. You know that fog started about 2 months ago, maybe a bit longer, three. And he looks over to some of his comrades who come up. Maybe closer to 3 months. Yeah. Um, uh, and they're starting to kind of take up a guarding perimeter around your party at this point. But he'll stay near you, Jupiter, because you're asking questions. Like I had mentioned, they've been here before the town was rebuilt. Uh, it could be, though we've had no cause to follow them. Most people who venture off into the wilderness, because there's not really a road, as I'm sure you're aware, being a furbolg, surviving the mountains, people who are unprepared don't come home. Yeah, most of the time. They probably have their safe ways. And he looks over to Mill, much like your people do through the forests. And he says it in a respectful way. And after addressing Mill, he does look to Taka, and his eyes just. He can't. You can tell he's trying not to, but he looks at Taka like with this fanboy admiration expression, just like he was trying to hold his mouth and be. But he's just like, it's just. And he just shakes his head a little bit. So, Master Win. Oh yeah, that's yeah. You can do whatever you want with that. He's going. He's gonna look super embarrassed. There's chuckle from the other guards. Honestly, with that, they're making fun of him. No, uh, not sausage, not food. We've just never met one like yourself, and we've heard nothing but legends and tales of your battle prowess. Yes. Now he's just like super red in the face. uh, and he looks to his guard companions. Um, yeah, I certainly will. Before I jump into some of the legends, I need to clarify now that we're all here. Master Winter said one of you is in danger. You gestured to that one, and he looks at little Awarthon. And what are we expecting? What sort of threat? What are we preparing for here? All right. So you remember what you remember. If you want to try and remember more, that's a history. Oh, okay. So so you're talking about you're trying to remember the vision specifically, nothing else, right? With a 14, don't know. If the 14 you remember in the path that you walked to the town, which is where you are, a Warthon does get torn apart in a fashion um, and die. Um, so so Jupiter says that. So now it's common that a Warthon gets torn apart, which you had not told him. And he blanches. And Taco, sorry, what did you say? mm. Qu- Quillbear Wraith. I do have haunted all sorts of beasties. I'll just template that to the Quillbear. You did take its paw after you killed it. Yeah. So and with that Yakasame's blank void expression changes suddenly, and it's almost like she like lands from a jump. She like catches herself like 1 foot a bit farther forward at a lunge and comes back up. And one other thing before I forget, Taka, every one of these guards obviously has a cool hawk head on their breastplates. Um, so that's obvious. Now, Yakasame coming, seemingly landing from a jump from standing still, and speaks in a voice that none of you have ever heard. He's in a lot more danger than just being torn apart. And it is literally a man's boisterous, intense voice. Commanding voice. This isn't Yakasame. Just listen for a second. He's addressing the guards and everyone. Since we met this little one, this small, he has been hunted by necromancers. They've tried to kidnap him, carry him away. We have funded them off at least 3 times. We've lost a companion along the way trying to protect him as well. Perhaps it's for some sort of ritual. I don't know. But you should be aware. There are necromancers afoot. And with that, he has a very worried, concerned voice. And without having to roll an insight, you can tell he's a bit shaky right now. The voice coming from Yakasame. Yuritsun. But we can talk later about this. Yes, we can talk later about this. Now, necromancers, as Jupiter mentioned, something tearing them apart. And then he just stops talking. Is there anything else anyone knows about? Because I'm interested in hearing this story about Derrickra. No one? Okay. So, party's quiet. And, what? You... That's not true. Um... Yeah, say in character what Mill would point out. It's fine. Do you know what they looked like, these daggers? Was there anything else, any symbols that marked maybe a sect, anything identifying? Which Winter probably has the notes on. Very non-specific. Okay. Well, and they just kind of crowd around you, and let's see how good this guy's at storytelling. Is this guy a bard of legend? All right. Is there somewhere we want to go while I jump into the story of how your people helped us? Maybe a tavern? Or is there somewhere you all need to be? It seemed like you were heading to the manor. This is the guard talking, if I hadn't specified. I don't know how long they're going to be, but if you're fine standing here, we can just wait. Okay. Will do. We all are. And his, all of his companions kind of like boast a little bit, like, yeah. Almost like they're a fan club. And I will say, Bamboozled, you can feel free to chime in and add things while I go through a bit of this. So what this guard will start out by saying is, there's a reason we carry the head of a hawk on our breastplates above our hearts. And he will go into some detail about the training that they do, inspired from your people. And after he goes into, again, those details of, precision tactics, in and out maneuvers, not necessarily hit and run, but lots of quick strikes covering their retreats, some hit and run, stuff like that, and a lot of precision and speed over bulwark. And the reason for this is the great impression your people left on ours, at least a couple hundred years ago, when we were involved in all sorts of wars in the region, fighting off the giants, fighting off Orkin, monsters, beasts, other competing humans, bandits, armies. Gargoyles. There were some wizards, and some of them did employ such things. Yep. Your people completely turned the tides of the battle once you joined forces with us. You were so effective at overcoming ranged, yeah, he goes into all these details of epic feats that he saw, or he didn't see, but he heard about your people doing. Our house was the one who allied with yours, the Frostgar. And ever since then, in not only respect for the lives lost from your people helping ours, and the alliance that we formed, the awe-inspired actions and the battle prowess, we train and we honor Orokorka. But I can't say it because I'm a bad talker. Yeah, this is the Frostgar House Guard. Go ahead. Yeah. Just that proud parrot look. Just like, yeah. Basically, yeah. Like, you're hearing about how Dad and Grampy, I don't know how far back. I know that God, Aarakocra. I struggle with things like that. Aarakocra. Yeah. Aarakocra, historically, I'm not saying about Taka, but historically, their perception of time and years is not great as a race. Like 30, if I remember right, tops. Yep. So, yeah. But they could say, like, it happened eons ago. It could have been like 200 years. Yeah. And saying like 1,000 years versus saying 100 years is usually almost indiscernible to the average. So, but again, I don't know about Taka. Taka could be no, she could know all about that time stuff. Um, yep. Mm-hmm. So that could have felt like thousands of years ago to you, or just around a generation to you, depending on how you want Taka to interpret that 200-ish years ago. Yep. And Eludria's gone. Gotta fix them, and they're back. But no one. Hopefully, we all just stay right near. Dicker, it's your time to be booted. All right. So yeah, he's not the best storyteller, but he does go into some cool stuff, some feats that he heard about. He tries to remember some of the names of some of the like legendary ones. But he's like, I'll have to, I'll get that stuff to you. It seems like we're gonna be together for a while. Um, but any questions or anything that you bring up to the guards, or anything you chime in about while they're kind of telling the story and going back and forth? Huge, huge grin. Just, of course. Like I said, we should be working together for a while. But I must say, your lives, at least especially that one's, are in our care. So please, if there's an emergency, follow our lead. And he's like, yep. And with that, let's see what Winter's been up to. Winter. You step through backwards step through as your house wizard pulls you through the portal. And you know exactly where you are. You are around the corner from the hallway that leads to your father's meeting chambers. I can't be straight with you for exactly how pissed he is with you, but I'm sure you can assume. And he looks at you. Winter, you've been on the road a while. Have you even cared the last week about cleaning your... Yeah. So he is going... He looks you up and down concerned. And casts some cleaning spells and mending spells on you without asking. He doesn't give a fuck what you think. And he doesn't fully clean you up, but he at least makes it look like you tried a bit. No, not at all. God, what voice did I use for him last time? I don't remember. It's been a couple weeks. I'm gonna do a little older. No, not at all. You look terrible. I think it's best if I don't say anything before you go in to see your father, but be prepared for the worst. Yeah. If you want your cat with you, you will have your cat with you. Okay. And the wizard just gives you a look like this, just lets out a sigh, turns and walks off. You know what you're supposed to do. Yep. And there's no response at first. Come in. And as you enter, you are in your quite familiar father's meeting chamber. Not a speck of dust or spiderweb anywhere in this entire place. Obviously cleaned with the aid of magic or very vigilant hands, or both. You can... He is sitting in his chair behind his desk on the far side of the room. Between you and him, you can see there's the normal area where some other people meet, some kind of couches and chairs set about a small table. And the entire room is very well furnished. You have a kind of dark polished wood furniture, a dark yet rich colored theme, stone floor, wood decorated walls. It's almost like a mix of a study and a trophy room and an armory. So, speaking of something strange that he did for this setup right now, oftentimes you know that there are chairs on the other side of his desk. Right now, all the chairs are down in the more open space, at least 15 feet away from the desk. Very unusual. And as you come in, seeing that, how do you approach? Okay. And as you were walking in and everything, it was easy to hear in the echoing yet muffled room his feather writing on parchment, busy with his stack of papers. And when you say that, there is a bit of a relieved sigh, though you could tell he was trying to be stern. Just. And he does look up and acknowledge you. You are home. Yes. And he puts his hand to shush you for a second. And a moment goes by as he finishes that letter, folds it, hot ink, stamp, puts it in the pile. Okay. And then he looks at you, but it's not the look of you can relax. It's not a look of at ease, nor does he say any such thing. And I am still the lord of this house, aren't I? Well, and he puts his hand out for you to talk. You begin. Did he? And do you feel that you need to speak with me? Or is this just my summons? Ah. So you came running home because your friend got hurt. Or he won't say friend, because your pet got hurt. And the only reason you came to see me is because you were summoned. 2 months. You've been gone 2 months, Winter. And at such an interesting time. Do you know how suspicious it looks for you to suddenly vanish after the occurrences that happened in the town to the south? You don't think that people wouldn't wonder where you were over the last 2 months? A couple weeks, sure. But you know how the gatherings are here, the goings on. You're required for appearances, if nothing else. So, honing your skills. Tell me, what have you learned? Please. By target, I mean, he has some shields on the walls. He's got some beast heads. What kind of target are you looking for? I mean, you could destroy some of his furniture. Ooh. There's open spots of stone on the wall. Okay. Destroys wall, the entire wall of books crashes down. Oh, anyways. So there are some open spots which have not yet been filled up, a bit higher up in the high ceilings of the wall. And with the green flame blade strike, are you trying to hit anything in particular with that? There's also stone floor, though you aren't on the first story. Okay. Two melee attacks and a performance. Don't worry, I'm not going to be too punishing. Okay. Okay. And performance. Roll a deception. You're all in, right? Okay. So, here's what happens. You miss time that first summoning off the wall. You hit the wall with your axe. And you hit the wall with your axe in such a way where it doesn't even damage the wall at all. It just sparks. So it's like, it looks like you didn't throw it that hard. And then as it's falling, seemingly about to damage something, you look almost panicked as you summon it back. Not as like, oh, I meant to do that. And then you're flustered during the whole green flame blade strike, and you do it awkwardly and without balanced steps. And how else do you try and play this off? Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you made kind of a sloppy work of the whole melee prowess, but then showed that I can absorb some elements. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And roll damage. Ooh. Okay. So, a bumbling performance, which, at the first part, which you could tell he even closes his eyes in frustration. And then as he opens up, he does watch you absorbing these elements. Okay. Is that all you have to show me? Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of magical items within 30 feet of you, and of course on his person as well. Let me check here. Is there any sort of specific item that you'd be looking for, or just maybe one of the many magic items on the walls that he never told you about, kind of thing? Okay. Yeah. You can see that one of the shields on the wall has an enchantment on it, and it has some conjuration magic imbued within it. It's not. So, and he's let you go for it. Is that the last thing you said, or you have one last thing? He has a little bit of patience left, but go ahead. You can see he's just... Go ahead. Hello. He looks at you unamused. With my fist or my blade? And he stands up reluctantly. I believe this was the sheet. Okay. Yeah, he hits you very hard. 24. Oh, and what does that buff you up to? Okay. So he hits you, and you know that this punch would have knocked you the fuck out, honestly. Just from how hard it hits, and at the last second, just boom. And you can actually see the magic from your shield spell diminish a bit, but it does technically stop the fist. And he lets a little grumble and shakes his hand once, sits down in his chair, scoots back up. You've been studying much magic, but your physical prowess is waning. Chased by White Fae, huh? Tell me more. fine. It's like Eridne or something like that. And with your details about the Quicklings, do you mention that that ended up being death of Quicklings as well? Okay. You just say you were ambushed by Quicklings, interrogated some, then the Eridne put a bounty on your head, and you'd been eluding ambushes to make it back to town. Yep. Anything else you'd like to tell me? Anything else to report? Minafar Durg. Durgar, what? They're Yep. Of course, when you say Aarakocra, his eyes a little, little acknowledgement there. Perhaps a little bit of honor acknowledged. It's obvious on his face. What's this about trolls? On the road? Where? Weak. So, yeah. So, this meta explanation. Yeah, essentially the halfway point between Takasu and Makoma was the troll ambush. And if I understood you correctly, there's a party of trolls a week down the road, and you're saying the Eridne, gosh, the word escapes me real quick. The Eridne organized them to hold ambush there. That's unusual. You'll start by making up for it during the rest of this conversation. Though, as I'm sure you'll find out soon, no one's made it through past a week's out for the last couple weeks. You're the first to report that they've come from that far away. We received word that there was a rock slide blocking all caravans. Were they? Did they tell you what they were terrified of? And why do you think that is? Give you up to whom? You say they were more scared of the Aridni than of yourself. And what makes you think that? What sort of ill fate did you warn them of? Anything more specific? And that is where the problem is, son. For you made two mistakes at that roadhouse. Mistakes I'm aware of, and have needed to mitigate in your absence. On one hand, you mentioned a threat not towards the innkeeper, but towards the inhabitants at such a wood, of burning down their entire forest at the hand of my army, speaking as though you command it. The Fae's rumors travel far and quickly, and such a threat was not idly acknowledged by their kind. Now, was there anything else besides burning down their forest that you might have said that the Fae picked up on? Yes, you can. Ooh, that's a good history check. Yeah, you get it. Okay. You remember that you implied that your family's house is what destroyed that town to the south. I'll ask, do you recall any other details? What exactly did you warn them of besides burning down the forest? Anything? Are you trying to roll insight or anything, or just look at it? And what are you trying to look for here? Okay. He is just stern and focused. You can't tell if he knows, you can't tell if he wants a specific answer, but you can at least tell, as it's obvious, that he's hoping, in case you said something else, that you'd let him know. Okay. Now, before we carry on with this conversation, and as you mentioned as you came into my study, am I not the lord of this house? And is our house guard and army and all the forces that I can call upon not under my command? And have we ever given such full command to you of the entire force of the Froscar family? You've been trusted enough to help lead your own groups of force, but I have not given you command of it in its entirety. Nor do I think I'll do anytime soon, given these latest developments. And you can tell he's frustrated and disappointed. Do not say such threats to those you don't understand so idly. And there's a bit of an awkward silence. So, you said that you came in from town the last week. You must have passed where the brothel was. Have you any knowledge of what happened there? Our reports thus far said there was some sort of attack by some great beast. Explosions. Something with great claws, and a big tail, and gnashing teeth. Apparently, it happened in the night. This beast destroyed the entire establishment, killed anyone who was in the way, and then left. Not many got a good look at what did it, though there is speculation on it could be a number of things. Though all the reports are conflicting. No one of great importance. Just those patrons and employees who couldn't get out of the way. Those who ran were not chased. Those who fought died. A Yeti, this far south. Oh, he seems less tense. Well, many say they've seen such things out in the woods, though it's very seldom true. Hmm. Could be. Now, and he gives a little nod. Not a big one. Now, so what did you think was best that led you so far from home for so long? You must fill me in over the last 2 months. What was so pressing? And what lesson did you learn about casting your name aside? And what did you learn about surviving without your name? And such is the power of the Froscar name, Winter. We are never alone. And he turns and grabs a glass, sets it on his desk, grabs another glass, or it's a crystal, of course, sets it on his desk, and from one of the drawers in his desk, grabs a fine crystal decanter, takes the top, pours himself a drink, sets the bottle on the desk, and corks it. And he leaves it there sitting for a moment. So do tell. What sort of life lessons did you encounter that had you running home so quickly with a wounded man? With quicklings attacking you? For that, there's an empty glass, yeah. I hope you'll be forthcoming. And he gestures for you to get a chair and bring it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Here, let me run through just a checklist. What are you gonna tell him about just why that direction? That's the first. Yeah, I'll run through it real quick. Why that direction? What's your story? Why head west? And what turned you back home? And he'll kind of point out in a way, I'm again cliff noting it so we can get back to the whole party here. He'll point out in a way that doesn't quite make sense for how far away this man was, as you described before you started heading home. Why were you on your road back this way weeks out? Did he say why? And yet you went with them. And he's going to say, yet you went with them back to Makoma. Because why? And any other details you're going to give him? Okay. And what about them? Obviously they exist, but anything specific that you would remember to tell him about them? Anything specific about them besides the fact that they were necromancers? Any tells, any insignia? Mm-hmm. It was just daggers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The dag. Okay. And he'll take it and take a look. And he'll hand it back. I'll fill in the guard. Understood. It does sound like they are in danger. Now, unless there's anything else you'd like to fill me in with, there's something we need to address. And he pauses if there's anything else. Okay. Well, it sounds like he served his duty well then, as a shield. That's a lesson you should learn well. It's carried our family far. giving purpose to those who have nothing. They'll do almost anything. Now we must address the rumors that have spread around the town in your absence. He's a little bit of a sneer at the audacity that you do it, but he doesn't stop you. It's just that boy you think you're a man look. Like... And as you're doing that, he picks up his drink as you're pouring yours and starts sipping on it. As I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, your escapades were ill-timed. I'm sure you know the secrecy of our operations are at utmost importance. Our appearance, our honor, and our standing relies on the knowledge and understanding that the Froscar family is noble, honorable, and a pillar for this community. Your disappearing immediately after the carnage that took place to the south has led some to wonder if maybe you were involved in some way. Good. Now, the excuse that we've concocted is that you were sent to investigate what had happened there. And upon your investigations, you were instructed to follow up until all leads were to their very end. I will expect you to have a full report written and submitted to us, as well as to the magistrate. You should know. You were there. And it's a bit of a stern, instructive end of conversation tone that he's going with. And it's very well understood that you're expected to come up with a story and put it in writing to give to the magistrate and a copy to the Froscar family as well. Yes. And as you get towards the door, don't go wandering off anytime soon. And he just pulls his papers back out at that. Okay. And roll me I mean, your passive isn't super high, so roll me a perception as you come out. Okay. So yeah, you catch the tail end of the wizard's teleportation thing. Obviously he was eavesdropping, but wanted you not to know. Just a little bloop. Dax sounds. Yeah, cat sounds. Maybe your cat got bored during the whole conversation and fell asleep on your shoulder. Yep. The wizard's chamber. Okay. So, doesn't take you too long. His quarters aren't that far away from the meeting chambers, which it makes a lot of sense. And you were in front of a nice mahogany wooden door. Nice iron latch. Finished already? You can enter. What is it? The one with you earlier? No. You shouldn't have left. How did that go exactly? You seem unscathed. I suppose. Depends on which one. Okay. And you pull out your tome, which I sadly had not finished describing and writing down, but it's very detailed and cool looking. And he does take a immediate interest in your tome, just glancing at its thickness and quality. Bring that here. Have you? What sort of report? Ah. I... I'll tell you what. And he... So did you fully hand it to him? Okay. Let me see what sort of task you are trying to sign me up for. Give it here. I'll just peruse it very quickly. This could take minutes or years, Winter. And what do you explain? Okay. So your translation, but not the knowledge of the book. Okay. That's a bit of progress, though just glancing at the pages, there's certainly more hidden knowledge to be had than just translation of symbols. How long have you been working on this tome? And how diligently have you been studying this? Do you know how many hours or days or months or weeks you've been spent just working on this? I can tell you now it's not going to be mere minutes for me to help you with this. it's best we get that report for your findings done. I'll tell you what, if you leave the tome with me, I have my ways of going through it very quickly. Ways that'll blow your little mind. And he has a wry grin. For another day that you talk over him. Ah. So you did visit the bookkeeper and get one of those resistant books like I'd mentioned. No, he was implying that you... Yeah. Oh, you did, yeah. You know... I have told you hundreds of times that if you write in a spell book, you better make sure it doesn't catch a flame or get ruined in water. Insolent child. I see what you're... Oh, is it? And he definitely knows what you're doing, but tries not to get too flustered. Do you want help with your report for your father or not? How fast is your pen these days? Sleight of hand. That's not bad. I'll fill in the gaps of the report. You can write fast enough. Write what you think, and also what I say. We'll begin. And he whips out some papers and gestures for you to take a seat. Okay. And that's what you're doing for a bit. Let's see how long of a bit. Wrong channel. Okay. Not that long. Turns out, after you start kind of concocting a story, trying to clear your head of the last couple of months and remembering what the actual rumor was supposed to be back in the day, before everything happened, your house wizard starts spinning quite a tale with all sorts of intricate details covering up your tracks. Airtight. Nat 20. And you had all sorts of like holes that you were leaving in your story. You thought it was not bad, but you were leaving holes, and he closed all of them for you, as the house wizard ought to do. Open and close holes. I'm going to leave that there. Keep it PG. All right, so it only takes you guys like 30 minutes to just bust out a report, and after you do the first one, he sets... Actually, as you're writing the first one, he has one of his mage hands pick up a quill and just mimic you on the second report. So as you're writing the first, the second one is being cloned. 30 minutes are done. You sign, and you can stamp or whatever you would have on you, some kind of seal. He has wax. Mm-hmm. It's good enough. Thank you for turning this letter into me. I will get it to your father henceforth. Now, you should likely get this other directly to the magistrate. I'm not sure why you didn't bring it to them first. And he gives you a wry smile. They are in charge, are they not, of Makoma? And you boys do get homesick with your youth. Now, off. But be back soon with that tome. But... What rumors? You mean... I thought that would be obvious. The other houses. There is. Of course... Let me pull up the fucking house's name real quick. I apologize. I am not all together here. Oh, that's the wrong document. Ein moment. And then after this, we will take a short break. Cool. I didn't write down the name I'd come up with. It's the house with the snake emblem, and it happens to be their very promising daughter, said to be quite handy with a spear. Seems to be at least the most boisterous of spreading the rumors. Not sure if she herself started it, but she's spreading it like wildfire. Well, I don't know. Depends on what you've learned on your travels. No. You know I don't care about such things. Cock measuring contests. If you write as slowly as you do on that parchment, it can't be much. Roll me deception. No. He just unamused, tired, old wizard man face. Again, not the longest of beards, just... Go turn in your letter. It lasts a minute, right? Yeah, overwhelmed is the best. Yeah, roll me a wisdom save, just real quickly. And, you didn't cast this as a ritual, did you? Okay. Yeah, you get a headache with how ridiculous this room is. Just packed, and there's like pocket dimensions, there's all kinds of things with multi-enchantments. There's things you're looking at that are obviously enchanted, but there's no aura coming off of it. It's just a mess for magical perception. If you don't drop it soon, you're gonna get a really bad headache. Okay. Trying to get a rise here. And he actually looks sad. Just get out. Yes. Yes, you will. And uses one of his mage hands to open the door. And you do. Good. And he seems pretty lost in thought as you, I'm assuming, head out. Unless you want to stay there. Okay. So, as you come out, it sounds like you're heading straight out of the manor. So you go winding the halls down to the main staircase and out through the foyer into the entryway, as there's, outside of the main doors, which the guards open for you and close behind you, the nice cared for stone path that leads to the main gates. And you can hear talking, some of it loud, on the other side of the wall where you left your party. Well, you have to go out the main gate. Yep. And as you approach the gate, the two guards at the gate say, or Master Winter, and open the gate for you, and the party can all see this happening about 150 feet away. And there's Winter, and let's take a break. Get some snacks, such and such, and the party will... I was going to say, do you guys want 15 or 10? 15? Yeah, 10:15 on the dot, exactly. Okay. Maludra, do you mind typing something in the chat for the break? Make sure to put the time zone. We'll be back. Welcome back. I'm actually on the 10, which gives me a chance to eat some of the food that I gathered. How you guys doing? What's that? I know it's a little awkward to jump back in after a hiatus and then also losing one of our pillar players, but, you know. Yep. Neither was I. But the narrative must go on. And then, how about you, German cowboy? How you hanging in there tonight? Besides tired. Okay. Cool. Wait, one of the streams stopped. Facebook Live. Wonder when that ended. Interesting. I'll have to check into why Facebook Live went down. I don't think it's starting. Yeah, Facebook Live just isn't starting for me. But speaking of what? It was fun. I definitely have some ideas after I've had some time to think of ways to like spice it up. But the concept and overall narrative is I like it. Um, hmm I was curious what you're going to do with part two. We should figure that out sometime soon. Hmm. That's cool. Cool. Go for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. Stealth rolled characters. Sounds good. And we'll be investigating what happened. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. That's a lot. Keyframes 2. Oh. Wait, no. It's fine by me. So I'm also trying to get this to work again. Let's try this one more time. We're still waiting on J.Crew. Fuck. The error pops up and then goes away so fast. I wonder if... lowering this bitrate there will fix it. Ah. That's the problem. Facebook doesn't like this much data. Yeah, what do you got going on there, guy? Hmm. Okay. Is it like a ambulance kind of thing, or you? Okay. Alrighty. Well, have a good night. Yeah. Well, let me pause the streams for a second then.